So what do we got on today? You've been mostly sending me links, man. I'm just following yours lead at this point.
Yeah, because there's been a few things that have come up, and you know, we've got Dan today as the third wheel, so I'm sure Dan would like to provide his own 2 cents.
Third wheel, really? It's so demeaning. He's a sidekick.
Hey,
He's a sidekick.
so he's like
He's the sidekick.
He's like the third banana,
No, he's like the third amigo.
the third.
He's
amigo.
one of us, just for one day.
Yeah,
Dan, what would you like to be?
sounds good to me. Third amigo is good.
Third
Done.
amigo.
Amigo
Excellent.
for hire.
Okay,
Sombreros in the mail.
Yeah.
so
Derailed again.
all right.
So what do we got? You got questions for us?
Yes. I've got a friend of mine called Sandy, and she lives in the US. And the request that Sandy gave me was a list of questions that mainly center on the American presidential elections that are happening this year.
Which has been laugh a minute.
Yeah,
From, the Republican camps.
I can't tell whether it's reality or reality TV. It's blurred.
Well, there's no Kardashian, so it's reality.
Yeah, that's probably how you can tell. Hey, Kardashians.
Maybe that's a niche market. Real Housewives of the Oval Office.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
Real Housewives of the Oval Office.
Yeah. Like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of New Jersey, Real Housewives of DC.
I reckon if Donald Trump gets in, that could be a
Oh,
possibility.
fuck, can we not?
It'd be like a real life of the.
Can we not?
Each season of the Real Life of the Oval Office, it'd be
We
like
are-
a different wife.
We already have Gene Simmons' Family Jewels and Hogan Knows Best. We don't need Trump the reality show. For the love of God.
Well, there was already what he did, The Apprentice, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
So it'd be the same formula.
Oh, right. Jeez.
It's like minute of state, you're fired.
Anyway, questions. Sorry for derailing once again. It's been a while.
Yeah. So my mate Sandy, she's given us these questions, and I think what she's trying to do is find out exactly what the opinions are of people around the world regarding this current presidential process.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really call it a campaign yet because at the moment they're still trying to work out what their candidates are. But I think what Sandy is trying to figure out here is whether or not the rest of the world is pretty much on par with the general view in the US that everything that's going on right now is just pretty much batshit insane.
Yeah.
So, at the risk of corrupting the data here, I would say that I think we're probably going to come up with a similar view.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. Alright, so first cab off the rank is, well, what's your first name? Well, you got that in the introduction.
Yeah.
So, I'm Luke, Michael, Daniel.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 of us, but what's your first name?
Luke.
Can we make like a hybrid first name?
Do we have to?
Yep. Mike,
Go
Luke,
nuts, my
Mike,
friends.
Luke, Dan.
Mike, Luke, Dan. That is the Voltron to our not Voltron form.
We are Mike, Luke, Dan. Your likeness will become our own resistance is futile. Next question.
Which country are you from? I'm Australian, born and bred.
Me, Australian.
Serbian, grown up in Austria.
Okay.
Australia.
Ah, alright.
So, were you born in Serbia and moved here, or did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moved to Austria first and then to here.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
And this country has a couple more letters than
Yeah,
Australia.
it does, and it's warmer and nicer.
Yeah. Climate's
It's got
good.
beaches.
Dan likes his beaches.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
Okay, well, What, today? Well, I work as a community worker. Luke, what do you do?
I'm a professional oxygen thief.
Okay.
Filmmaker, I guess.
Yeah.
YouTube, not famous. Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Dan?
I work as a PhD student and now I work as an entrepreneur,
Hey.
which means I'm not getting paid right now.
Okay.
So coffee's on you then, Michael.
Yeah. There's a lot of oxygen thievery going on.
Sweet.
You slackers ought to get a job. Get a real job.
Shut up, old man.
Are you following the 2016 American presidential elections? Yes, you can't escape it. I probably know more about the US presidential and political system than any other country's political system, just because...
In a way, you were somewhat better off, friend.
Yeah, because it's just constantly in our face.
Same camp as Daniel. I follow it out of... mostly for giggles, because it's just a train wreck at the moment.
Yeah. I'm following it because it feels like I'm watching a TV show.
Who are the candidates? What is your opinion?
Well, as I was mentioning before, I'm not sure there's actually candidates at the moment. I think they're trying to figure out the candidates, but I mean, ultimately, I guess the big players at the moment is on the Democrat side. You've got Hillary Clinton, and I guess these days Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And then on the Republican side, you've got Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, I think.
Yeah.
And then you got good old Trumpy.
Yeah, but...
Good old make America great again.
They're starting to do their big primaries, though, so I think they're at the point where it's becoming, on each party, it's becoming the two-horse race. It's starting to become that way. So I think these days on the Republican side, I think it's Cruz and Trump. That would be my assessment. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, up until with the Republicans, it just seems to be either Ted Cruz or Donald Trump. That's the most you hear from, and then sort of you have Ben Carson going hi from the background.
Yeah.
Then you got poor old Jeb Bush, who has to ask people to clap.
Oh, poor Jeb Bush.
Poor bastard.
Or Jeb, as he's called. Poor Jeb.
Well, he's not living up
I
to...
feel bad. I know he's a Bush. I feel bad for him. Because
Yeah.
he's just been shat on.
Well, he's not going to become president of the United States like the rest of the Bush family are.
He's the black sheep of the family.
He hasn't lived up to snuff.
Slow and steady, man.
Yeah.
He's only like being a governor. Like, that's not enough.
2032, he finally becomes president.
Yeah.
Just the whole planet Earth has been decimated from global warming or what have you. It's like, finally, my chance.
Yeah.
He's only there because everyone else is dead.
Yeah, the only thing he can really fix is the light switch in the Oval Office. Just like, get that sorted out. Run the country.
Yeah.
Want to do the easy one first?
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
No. Just no.
Okay.
It's more of a train wreck than it needs to be.
Yeah.
The problem I find with Donald Trump, he's a card-carrying member of the club where just because you have heaps of money doesn't mean you're very smart.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, to his credit being a millionaire and all, isn't a very smart man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's of the ilk that if you throw money at it, it will solve problems.
Yeah.
I am a bit concerned of his views, though. They're not too dissimilar to a certain antichrist-like figure that loomed around in the 1930s, 40s. That might have been German. Hitler.
Who?
That guy. Hitler.
Who?
Hitler.
What's your opinion of Trump?
Trump is the best meme candidate we've had.
Yeah.
It's like 4chan Paul finally got their candidates.
Yeah.
And dank memes became real life. Serious business right now. Trump makes his own material. He's a living meme.
Yeah.
And for that, I appreciate it. For everything else, I'm worried about the average American. One thing I do appreciate, though, is that he made it very clear that he's not an establishment candidate, and for that factor, he gained a lot of popularity, and that's cool. Everything else is just crazy. It's like a satire on like, if you know, it started with W. Bush, of course, that the Republicans are their own satire. Like, if you wanted to make a movie and have like a stand-in corrupt politician, you don't even have to write this anymore. You just look at the news and just pick and choose, and there's your satire.
You're mentioning establishment, and that seems to be a bit of rhetoric that I'm noticing as well, that that all the candidates are saying, well, we're good because we're not part of the Washington establishment. You know, and I think that's what was happening with Priest. I think that's why Bush mightn't be faring so well, because
he's part of that.
He's basically aristocracy, American aristocracy. You know? Ted Cruz, I think he has been identified as a bit of a creep hasn't he?
I think so.
Ted Cruz needs to go away as well,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. But wasn't there like a recent incident or a bit of smear that where he was found as being a bit of a ladies' man or something?
I remember those videos where he's like instructing his family how to do political videos, and he's all trying to hug his daughter, and she's all like, so good deal of cringe. Don't know much about his policies.
Okay.
And he's got that face like,
It's like troll face, isn't it?
yeah, it's like I'm happy, but I have pain, and I don't know. Like someone put it really well. He has this kind of face when the waiter brings you your wrong food, but you say, I do like lasagna, but this is not what I ordered, but it's good anyway, thank you. Like that kind of face.
Yeah.
But all the time. So
Yeah.
very superficial, I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You just want to have that meal and get out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's Ted Cruz. And, the Democratic side. So we've got Hillary Clinton and we've got Bernie Sanders. So regarding Hill Dog, actually, Hill Dog could be considered as part of the establishment. I think that's why the rhetoric is being bandied around a bit too. Maybe on the Democratic side, at least.
I am not entirely sure what Hillary's policies are, to be honest.
Hillary's policies, well, I think she's trying to come up with a moderate way of dealing with the Middle East in terms of continued military involvement, as well as maintaining the oil industry and America's stake within that. I think she wants to keep some sort of piecemeal arrangement with the public health system, at least maintain Obamacare in some shape or form. But I think where it's still a bit critical is that she's still happy to kind of provide those financial bailouts to big corporations whenever it goes ass up. And I think that's a very real issue, considering there's always this talk at the moment about there being potential economic crisis, which has always been looming the last couple of years. So I guess that's where Hillary... Well, to me, that seems to be the general vibe for Hillary.
Yeah.
I remember a year ago, it was just completely, without question, Hillary is the Democratic candidate, of course. And now, people are booing, people are like, but you said this before and now you're saying this. Like, why did you support Barry Goldwater in the 60s when Sanders was marching with Martin Luther King?
Yeah.
Why did you say this about gay marriage and that? And why did you bail out the banks and all this stuff? So it's pretty sketchy. It's not rocky. But then again, that's the media, and the media likes controversy and tight races. And what the real result is, we don't actually know.
Yeah.
I guess this might expose our partisanship. I guess with our thoughts on Bernie. I mean, I guess out of all the four that we've described there, I'd be more comfortable with Bernie. He fancies himself as a socialist, although I would say that maybe not so much a socialist. I know that there's a thinker called Noam Chomsky that would probably call him more like a New Dealer rather than a socialist. And I guess when I say a New Dealer, I mean someone that is pretty much of the ilk of around the times of FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, when he pretty much introduced a whole bunch of policies just after World War II to ensure national recovery from World War II, And it was also to help out European countries. So pretty much, whereas in the past, at that time, America was pretty much keeping itself separate from European affairs, through the New Deal, it pretty much injected itself into the globe, into Europe. But also part of that was to try to ensure defense against whether it was perceived or real, Soviet threat. So yeah, it involved a lot of government intervention. And I guess when you call Bernie Sanders a New Dealer, that's where I think very much he'd be coming from. Lots of nationalised, lots of statutory things. Definitely met healthcare, and to the point of actually boosting it. He was sounding out something that had of particular interest to me, the college system, where he really wants to turn that ass up by getting rid of tuition fees and actually try and make that free access rather than creating that tiered system of, Ivy League and then the mid-range unis and then your community colleges.
Yeah.
Trying to really make that a bit more horizontal rather than a pecking order.
Well, that's what's endeared me to Bernie, free healthcare, free tuition, this, that, whatever. It's very much what I think a government should be looking to provide, because nobody wants a country full of idiots.
Yeah, I mean it's very much just common sense stuff, isn't it? It's like, although you probably have like the Republicans accusing him of being an alien, a socialist,
of course,
anarchist, everything under the sun. But
oh, good. What's wrong with a little anarchy?
Yeah.
Well, I've got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But just anything, I think when you're looking at sometimes when politics can be reduced to sound bites. I guess when you can call someone a socialist or a communist or something like that, that's automatically means like a shutdown,
And I think on that alone, I don't like. I'd say that Bernie's in with a chance in terms of popularity, but in terms of, I don't know if he'll actually get in because of that.
Yeah,
Because socialism, it's not exactly the most American thing on the planet to be promoting free anything.
He's been an outsider, but I mean, if he's ever going to have a chance, I reckon he's made his timing quite good. Because the big primaries are up at the moment, and that's where, when I say primaries, I think that's where they approach different parts of the US, where they start voting on who their candidate is to be for their particular party. But it's all very convoluted in America because they just do that state by state. Now, it's very much like a bellwether thing. Like when they go to a certain place for a delegate for a candidate to be elected, it pretty much, if it's a huge state, if there's a lot of people keen on voting, if there are a lot of people that turn up to vote, because in America it's very much an optional thing to do. That pretty much provides a form guide for the rest of America. So that's why they pay so much attention to primaries. So they don't necessarily have so much political consent in a way, just authority in the fact that if they're going to be approved in this state, then that might follow form in the rest of America as well. Yeah. So that's why you see a lot of drop-off from other candidates after certain primaries, because they feel, well, if I'm not going to get voted here, I've got Buckley's chance elsewhere.
Yeah.
On that note, how did Iowa ever become an important state for primaries? Iowa, of all places.
Well...
It was a pretty good Slipknot album, I'm just saying.
Oh,
sorry?
It was a pretty good Slipknot album.
Yeah.
But it's weird how everyone's like, Iowa is important there. I would think, what about New York State or, I don't know, Washington DC or California or something?
Yeah.
I think with Iowa, there's a couple of reasons. Is that Iowa's early on,
right,
in the campaign trail, and also Iowa is, it can be either way. It can be a Democratic state, it can be a Republican state. There's never been a uniformity about it, because when you talk about New York, that's always been historically a Democratic state.
Right.
So it's very much it pretty much presents itself as a bellwether situation, Iowa, in terms of, if people vote that way. And I think, do they have like they have a caucus system there as well?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what's raised issues with how they counted votes and stuff, because it was handled by volunteers, and it's basically up to the parties. It's not a state system.
Yeah.
It's just by the parties up to organizing their own events and voting and copying flag for, screwing it up.
Yeah, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they use a caucusing system, that means that guarantees a lot more people being involved, a lot more voting, a lot more binding things in place.
Not sure.
Because a lot of voting, a lot of the way votes happen in America is just put first past the post. Someone turns up, someone starts tallying up votes, and whoever gets through. But with the caucus system, you've got people basically voting, and then it's not necessarily first past the post. It's like everyone's pretty much got to be on side. That's how the caucus work. That's how a caucus works.
What's your opinion of Bernie?
Sounds great. I finally a candidate that I can give a shit about. I mean, not that I can influence anything, but I can give a shit about him. He seems to be giving a shit about stuff. He, right from the start, he completely focused only on policies and issues rather than talking about, rather than attacking other candidates or just the ego game of why he's so cool and all that. And I found I agree with what he's saying on the fact that he's a socialist or social democrat or whatever he might be. I found that interesting because now we're of course in the post-Obama era where the taboos of the past are getting kind of not so much eradicated but confronted. Where, for instance, before you would say, a black guy can't ever be president, and then out of nowhere comes this guy, and for once he sounds like an actual grown-up, and that's what attracted people to him. Because for 8 years of Bush, the bar is so low for a politician that if they can string a sentence together and it make alright sense, that's kick-ass. Same situation here with Rudd, I find. Like, it's that kind of the inspiring candidate, the one that actually shows some vision. Like, they show that they can understand that time goes on and some things that happen now will develop into something in 10 years or 20 years or so on, rather than just harping on about the issue of today and like trying to make that the selling point with no idea of the future of the country.
Is there anything that you found inspiring thus far?
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders.
Next question.
He looks like Larry David. Is there anything you found funny thus far? Yeah, he looks like Larry David.
Everything about Trump. That covers the funny. Like,
Trump
unreal.
Is just a 3-ring circus of just horribleness. Yeah.
I would say that it peaked around the time when he actually reposted that Pepe drawing of himself. On that's when the internet, that's when the show is over. Like, it peaked. Now it's, we've seen it. Now it's kind of getting to like we need to start getting serious. Yeah. It's like, not so funny anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This shit got real.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the next one is this might be an easy one.
Although he bought the Jeb Bush. What was it?
The URL.
Yeah, the URL, and redirected it to himself instead of course, linking to GoTo or something like that. He should have done that, but I guess even he has some sense of.
Yeah. Did he actually buy it though,
yeah,
or was it?
Did.
Wow.
And it just redirects to.
Because I heard it was like
Donald
a bunch of pranksters or something that just bought the.
No.
But he bought it.
Bunch of goofsters. No.
That's why I feel bad for Jeb Bush. It's
Yeah.
like it's just being shat on and shat on and shat on. He can't even get his people to clap for him. It's like
Yeah. It's sad.
There.
He should be. When you watch him, he actually comes across as Larry David as well, because he's so awkward. He's all like, yeah. And then he walks, this kind of shit, like,
Poor Jeb.
But he's part of the establishment.
Poor Jeb.
Okay, so the next one, this might be an easier question for us. Is there anything you found scary thus far?
The fact that Donald Trump could be president.
Donald Trump.
Well, the old military-industrial complex, not addressed in any way by the main candidates, except a little bit by Bernie Sanders. Worrying, like, if he actually starts to pick a fight with like the CIA and stuff, like, or even like the NSA, none of this was addressed right now. The biggest scandal of a lifetime, not really part of the discussion at all. And I think it should be.
Is there anything that you found gag-worthy thus far?
Well,
Donald Trump's hair.
Wait,
Donald Trump.
does this mean haha funny gag, or does this mean
Vomit
like
inducing.
I wanna throw up?
Yeah.
I don't know. No idea.
Well, anything that you found gag-worthy, I mean, throw up gag-worthy, Donald Trump's hair. Anything that you found gag-worthy, as in funny gag-worthy, Donald Trump's hair.
Yeah.
It just works.
Yeah.
It's the cause of everything.
Can I also say...
Britney Spears' meltdown, Donald Trump's hair.
You also mentioned goatsy. I heard goatsy at one point. Can I also suggest that maybe Donald Trump's hair looks like blue waffle?
Whoa, I don't know, man.
Too far, man.
Blue waffle.
Way too far. That's not sort of the caliber that we have on this podcast, sir.
Not in the last 5 seconds, anyway. Next question.
Now, for the Australians in the audience, may find this giggle-worthy, but
I was already there.
Is there anyone you're rooting for?
See, I'm. This is where we're having a bit of a cultural clash here, in a way, isn't it? Because if there's anyone you're rooting for, no, as an Australian,
Because here in Australia, root means to have a shag.
or to have sexual intercourse, because even when people are gonna go, "What's a shag? Why are you having sex with a carpet?"
Buy a dictionary. Fuck. Yeah. So, who are we rooting for? I think I'd be happy if Sanders got in. I'd be happy if Hillary got in.
I'd root Sanders.
Cool, man.
Crickets. I would root for Sanders.
That's better.
Yeah.
The awkward edit point right there.
So, anyone that you're rooting for? Yeah, Bernie Sanders, no brainer. Any final?
Anyone but Trump for me.
Yeah. I'm hoping that Donald Trump gets rooted.
I hope it's without lube. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like Mexican tequila, Tijuana on a stick or something. Yeah, like that.
His hair can finally go free.
Yeah, liberate the hair. Any final thoughts on this topic?
Oh, Daniel didn't say what he was rooting for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who are you rooting for, Dan?
Same though, Sanders.
Sanders, yeah.
Maybe we'll actually have, some peace in our lifetime. Not. I'm rooting for no new wars, please.
Yeah.
So that would be nice.
Rooting for peace.
Yeah.
Which.
Hell yeah.
Oh, the entendres. Double, triple.
Yeah, I'm suppressing it.
I'm not. Any final thought on this topic?
Any final thoughts? I don't know. I think we've been.
Don't vote Trump.
Yeah, that. What are you doing, America? Seriously. We thought it was a bit weird having Ronald Reagan. Like, I remember when he came in, everyone thought, isn't he a movie star? And then you ended up voting him in. And then he had an agenda, didn't he? Eh? And then he went, and then now we're in a similar situation with Donald Trump. It's like, why the heck would you have like a celebrity reality TV show millionaire running for president? That's crazy. But there's been a precedent in America. Just remember your
I'm
history.
going to call it now. I think good old Trumpy is actually going to drop off at some point.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think he'll just quietly go away after he makes some huge gaffe, and because he's just so out of touch. He's too busy being a rich person and with all his rich person friends. He's just so out of touch with the public. It's scary the fact that he might actually be voted in, but I consider that fairly unlikely. But stranger things have happened.
Well, it's becoming very likely that you could have a candidate from the very far right up against the candidate from the very far left.
Yeah.
I've never seen polarity like that. At least not in Europe. In Europe you might find it, but
Yeah.
elsewhere,
Yeah.
bit weird. So lastly, what do you think of the United States of America? Why do we always have to have an opinion on America?
It's America.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your buffalo wings are large and succulent, and you fry them, like...
Everything's deep fried.
Yeah.
I don't know. People always go, "What do you think of Australia?" I'm just saying, same thing.
Yeah.
No, I guess so. Yeah, we have that patriotic stuff thing going on, don't we?
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a natural thing to ask somebody, within context. If let's say you come to Australia and someone asks you, "Oh, what do you think about Australia so far?" Valid question.
Oh, I guess for me, ultimately, I suppose if if it's a party, everyone knows America's there, and everyone's read their blog, basically.
Yeah. Well, because they made the blogs, they made the internet.
Yeah.
All of this is American,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we got through those questions, all right. So.
With minimal abuse towards America, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of America?
Uh.
You're about to ask you asked a question and then you just went off on a tirade.
Well, I just answered it. It's like life of the party. Yeah. Subscribe to their blog. That sort of stuff.
What I think, interesting culture, lots of good things, very much a country for rich people. It seems to be, when in the 90s people were saying, the typical thing is when you rob a bank is you flee to Brazil. Apparently that's the thing, or you flee to Mexico, because the implication there is that if you're rich there, no one will touch you and you can just disappear and you're, it's just this pretty, nice country if you're rich. And I have the similar feeling for America. I am genuinely scared of going to America because of what if I have an accident? What if I would be facing the real possibility of someone actually trying to kill me for some reason with their many weapons. I go around in Sydney, I don't care. It's safe, it's fine. I've never had any issues in Australia.
Well, it's safe now that bloody King's Cross is dead.
Well, no, I mean, in the 15 years of being here, I've never come into contact with any kind of bad situation like that, and I'm honestly worried. It's so. Sure, I mean, a lot of this is filtered through culture. It's not all right out of Compton, straight out of Compton. And even that is glorified into its own thing.
Yeah.
But there is real crime and there's real disparity and a very broken healthcare system. I don't want to be bankrupt because I broke my arm there and I don't have health insurance and I'm a foreigner and all that jazz. So on that, I would like things to be a bit nicer, But aside from that, culture is fine. I like the movies, the shows, and all that. It's great.
I like me some America.
Yeah,
I've been there twice. It was nice, and just shame about the healthcare and shame about the guns. Open carry laws are stupid.
Yeah,
I'm not don't get me wrong. I like the idea of not being shot in the face, but I don't know.
Well, isn't the point?
I'm not the biggest fan of the strict gun control that we have here, but we do have it for a reason, and that reason is so we don't become America. Yeah.
Yeah, to me it just seems like a real land of very wide disparities. I would say that the US has its own first and has its own third world, and
most areas, of that third world is Flint, Michigan at the moment.
Well, areas in the US where law can often be dictated by the butt of a gun,
Yeah.
So that's what's a bit concerning for me. It's like you do think about also the place as a land of opportunity, land of wealth, prosperity, but what is also concerning, it seems to be a place for winners and for losers, and people are quite happy to be framed as a loser. They will embrace that, and that's what's got me concerned.
Are they? What do you mean?
Well, when you look at the welfare system and you see entrenched welfare and you see people who will resort to the black economy in order to make a living, there is that sentiment where if you aren't able to climb that ladder to be able to partake in that process of mobility, to be able to do what's needed to be able to be rich and just the pursuit of happiness. That basically means to get rich in many people's views these days. If you can't do that, then you're seen as a failure. So you need to do these other things and not necessarily have a moral crisis about it.
Sure. No, I understand, but you said people are happy to identify with themselves being losers. I don't think that's the case.
Not happy, but I guess maybe a better way of saying that is an acceptance.
Okay.
For better or for worse, like an acceptance that this is the way things are. Things might necessarily change. I haven't played by the rules. This is it.
They don't seem to see themselves as poor people. They see themselves as millionaires who are going through a rough patch.
Frustrated millionaires.
Yeah. They just haven't made it yet.
Well, he's not frustrated. He's living the dream.
Yeah, of course.
He may as well just pull down his pants and show his cock to the world,
like what's his Lyndon Johnson did. He was known to be like that in private.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad he wasn't around during the YouTube age.
Yeah,
stay tuned for more facts with Daniel.
Yeah. It's one of those
on American presidents.
It's one of those, was it Hoover? The guy who wore the dress?
Yeah,
I think it was Hoover.
Yeah, he was a cross-dresser.
Yeah.
Is J. Edgar Hoover.
So this is where I think America's lacking, because they have all these presidential scandals. We had Watergate, we had the whole Clinton-Lewinsky thing,
Yep.
Hoover wore the dress?
Yeah, but that was a private
Lyndon Johnson
thing.
whipped his cock out.
It's not like he went down.
Harold Holt, one of our older prime ministers, just flat out disappeared.
Yeah.
Like, just without a trace.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we've got, hey, the NSA is spying on everyone, and they're all like, you want to have security and you want to have freedom, you can't have both, like this cringy shit. That's like, this is unconstitutional. No one's going. There's no trial. What, like Nixon resigned and was facing impeachment because some of these people were spying on the Democrats, I think. And Obama and the NSA are spying on everyone, and it's like, that's just state.
Par for the course, yeah.
What does it and before that, Bush broke all international laws, all this stuff. What does it actually take for a president to be actually impeached these days? Like,
blowjob,
this
apparently.
guy actually has, this guy actually has to resign, like that kind of thing. People say this, like,
again, a blowjob.
figuratively. Yeah, that's right.
I would be a bit of a devil's advocate in that, no? Like, with the removal of Nixon, I think there was a lot of political intrigue with that. Like, I mean,
Sure.
he was an unpopular president. They
Sorry,
thought
can I just get this out of my system now? I am not a crook.
he was an unpopular president. Nixon's back, baby.
Nixon's back!
Sure, but these are actual political processes.
The other thing as well is, and the other point I need to make as well is that he was basically caught in an unpopular war. Yeah. I think so. He was very much seen as a scapegoat. So I think that impeachment tool, as a foreigner to an American land, who makes this observation, is a very much a self-serving thing. Like, if there is a president that sucks, play the impeachment card and see what happens. Yeah. So to me, it's a very subjective thing.
Although they haven't actually... Did Clinton get impeached? Because Nixon didn't. He resigned.
Clinton did get him. I think he got impeached, but they couldn't... I don't... Yeah, my mind's a bit sketchy on what happened after that. I think it was something about he was impeached, but you got to kind of administer it. And I think they couldn't run that through.
He still carried out his term, and that was it.
Yeah.
Cool, I think we're done talking about America now.
Yep.
I wanted to end it on the note where of previous presidents exposing themselves. That would have been a great way to end it.
Oh, well. We're here now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, well, that's our question, so I'm hoping that might be of use, Sandy. So good luck and go forth.
You'll need the luck. Thanks, Sandy.